Alrighty. We'll call the, being after 7, we'll call the April 26th meeting to order, and we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so nobody was able to go over the minutes, so we're gonna continue them to the next meeting. So we'll start off with a modification, 242-634-85 Colonial Ave.
Yeah, you can sit there and, yeah, that's fine. Yep. All right, I'm just gonna pull up let's see, modification, do I have that? Let me just see, I'm just.
Amy, we'll have you speak first, and then we'll do the commissioners.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull
And
up
then
the
we'll-
as-built plan to
If
remind.
there's any
people.
questions, we'll go forward.
All righty. The commission will recall that this order was issued in January of 1993, and it governed the construction of a 29-lot subdivision with associated roadways, utilities, wetland replication, and stormwater management structures. House lots were not individually permitted under separate notices of intent, so the subdivision plan served as lot development plans. Commission will recall considering a previous partial certificate of compliance requested during the January and February meetings. The as-built plan showed non-compliant structures that had been built into the 50-foot no-build zone. After some discussion, the applicant decided to withdraw the request to work with their buyers in an approach onto how to address this issue. The sellers, who no longer own the house, but they're here this evening with their representative, are in the attempt to turn over every possible stone that is available to them to seek approval for the built structures. They're submitting an after-the-fact request for modification for this lot and a waiver request to approve the deck and the expanded patio area. The commission will recall that there was an interim as-built plan in the, let's see what date that was, in 97, and the then conservation administrator approved a proposed deck that cantilevered into the 50-foot no-build zone, but the footings were outside of the 50. So that plan is initialed and okayed by him. And I'll pull that plan up just for,
Thank you.
so they're looking for relief on these structures, although that the deck that was approved by the former administrator was smaller than what we have now. So,
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so, I mean, so it's an enclosed deck now, right? So that's not what was originally approved on the bottom?
it's enclosed on the bottom, screened in.
Yeah. And how much, is there a plan showing exactly how much is in the 50-foot no build?
The
I think I
as-built.
see it, but I just want to make sure I understand.
The as-built, yes. What I have up on the screen now is the interim as-built that the previous administrator approved. And so we have a measurement of 56 to the house with the outline of the proposed deck and then the footings that were determined by him to be outside the 50. There is a concrete slab also shown on this plan that he didn't either catch or,
But on this,
Comment
on
on.
this as-built, everything that I'm seeing here within the
Yes.
50, it's like, sort of like a triangle shape
yeah, let me,
on the
as-built?
current plan?
Yeah, let me pull that up.
Is that the plan we have here, Amy? Is that the as-built?
Yeah, dated, it's a,
It's dated May 12, 97?
that's the interim plan that was
That's the
with
interim?
Mike Howard's initials. You'll see that.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have the December 21st, 2022 as-built plan, which I'll pull up. You have that as well.
Yeah, so I guess first of all, I guess, I don't think we would have approved what's there now,
No.
within the 50, certainly. I'd like to see what the difference is between what was approved on, what Mike approved, and what's on this plan, so just to get, like, what's the difference between what was approved and what's there now,
So-
right? Like,
I think the pictures probably help that discussion.
yeah, I'm
Because
just,
what it looks like Mike approved were the two column locations. The assumption was the deck was going over that, but the columns where the posts were coming down, that's what he approved. Everything above that
Was just
was just.
open deck.
Yeah, so the
open deck.
foundations. So if you look at those photographs, you can see the columns inside.
right, but I'm saying on the plan, I'm looking for area, right? So like, are we talking about a 10 square foot area that's
Oh.
within the 50, or are we talking about a 100 square foot area that's
It's
within
like,
the 50?
looks like
Right, 'cause
25.
there's a
So-
magnitude of difference if you're asking
Between
for a
25 and
waiver.
30 square feet.
So I'm gonna say that this was what was approved by Mike,
Okay,
okay? And now we've got
right, okay, that's why,
all that.
okay.
And there was a concrete slab here. This grew a little bit as well.
Yeah, from what I recall originally, it was described as much less in the 50. This is much more significant than I anticipated. But, so, two things. One, I don't think this qualifies for a waiver. I don't think we would, I think it has to be something that we would approve in general. I don't think this falls into that category. And two, I would have expected to see some form of mitigation as well. Under the regulations, you're required to improve existing conditions and the function of the no-build zone. You know, and then I guess third, this isn't really how an alternatives analysis works. You build it and then work back from there, right? So I would expected to see what would it take to reduce the size to bring it back to the 50? That's an alternative, right? So like, not just, there's nowhere else this could have gone because it's there now. So I don't see this meeting any of the criteria.
And so just to remind the commission, so we have a stone retaining wall. So there's an elevation difference between, you know, the lawn and the deck and the rear structures. And then you have the retaining wall, and then there's a drop down. So there's a elevation separation, just so you understand the site. That's all.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to say, I don't see this as having been approvable either, and I was on the commission when this project came in front of us. And I know that on this particular subdivision, we had a lot of little violations all over the place, including a house that we ordered moved on this street. I can tell you that in its current state, it never came in front of us. And I don't think it would have been approvable then. I don't think it's approvable now. I note that the stone wall on the plan, when you look at the plan, on the stone wall, when you look to the west, you can see the stone wall starts out at the 25-foot, and then as it goes along, it gets up closer to the house and gets away from the 25, but I suspect that's because of the topography and not for any other reason. Because when you look at the photo of the stone wall, as pointed out, there is an elevation, and I could see where you wouldn't want to try to bring the stone wall in there to find the 25. That would have been a lot more I don't know if we conditioned the stone wall or not. We typically did. Nobody voluntarily puts them up.
No.
I'm sorry, I just don't think it meets the standard, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'm going to just defer to my commissioners because I have an issue with the whole thing, so I just defer to my colleagues. Joe?
I was on the commission too when this was approved, and I do remember the whole subdivision and some of the extreme cases within the subdivision that Al already spoke about. The wall was part of the original filing. It is installed for all intent and purpose where it was proposed. I don't know the reasoning behind it, but it must have been clear at the time that that's what they wanted to do because that's where it's shown. From the outset, as Al remembers and said, we had a house move, but what that really meant was that there was a house that was, we had already cautioned the applicant repeatedly through the process that when you build your houses with zero tolerance, that there was no room for error other than to get it further away, and it was a coin toss whether you got further or closer, and, well, in one instance, they got closer, but not by much, but by about 3 or 4 feet, and after the fact filing came to us and said, well, geez, we made a mistake, and they said, well, what do you want us to do, move it? And we all agreed it was a great idea, and they took us to court, and the judge says, it was your idea, you have to move the house. And they moved the house. So, every filing thereafter, it was very, very clear that, in fact, it was one of the problems, it was one of the reasons we required that the foundations be pinned at every step of the way so that they could verify before they got themselves into a pickle that things were accurate before they got too far ahead in construction. So that's the background on this. The reality is, I'm seeing the conditions there today being not only different, way different than what was originally approved, but way different in a way that we never would have approved it. What we did approve after the fact was the addition of a deck under very strict standards, meeting the 50-foot no-build by the cantilever
By the
section,
cantilever.
which I think they did, but I can't tell.
Yeah.
Plan looks like they might have. But everything else, the other addition, the other addition of the porch above it, the screened-in porch underneath it, what was a slab being converted over to patio, the patio now including a fireplace. None of that came to us, none of it was ever permitted, and nor would it have been. I do want to point out that because they lost what little backyard that the yard might have had by doing all those other things, they've kind of left themselves with no room to do things that you would do in your backyard, like throw stuff over the wall into the wetland area, like the woods and the stuff that I'm seeing in the first photograph.
And that got fixed.
But it's there because there was no
Well,
other
I
place
get
to put
it.
it.
I
That's my
understand what
point.
you're saying.
So, which is the reason why we don't let people thread the needle, because they back themselves into a corner and they, in their own minds, force themselves into doing something they should not be doing. All that being said, I guess, let me say one last thing, that we require orders of conditions to be filed. They encumber your title during the purchase and sale and the due diligence in confirming your title and getting clear title. They get smoked out and things like orders of conditions that preserve. It's why certificates of compliance are requested before someone buys. In my opinion, everything has to come out and put it back the way it was originally approved with the addition, with the approval of the deck that was field modified at the later date. Everything else has to come out. My opinion. Tony, yes,
Okay. Would you like to comment?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Alexandra Castaldo. I represent Jeffrey and Caroline Castaldo. I don't want to repeat facts that have already been discussed. Just a couple of clarification points. Our understanding is the patio actually was not expanded. Concrete pavers were just placed on top of the patio that the builder had placed on the property. The deck that was originally approved in this 1977 as-built was expanded to what it is today. We've talked about the retaining wall. All of these, the structures, both the patio and the deck, have been on the property in their present condition for more than 20 years. We mentioned there's a stone retaining wall which completely separates the uplands from the bordering vegetated wetlands. In the 20 years that the Castaldos have owned the property, there's never been any evidence of any erosion or any sort of damage or injury to the bordering vegetated wetland. I understand that typically this is not how an alternative locations analysis works. This is obviously an after-the-fact filing, so we were just seeking to apply for the relief that would allow these structures to remain, since there's been evidence in the current condition of the vegetated wetlands. I think kind of prove the point that there has been no damage to the wetlands. I mean, of course, it's up to the commission. If a smaller structure would be more favorable, that's something that we can present to the buyers. Of course, I don't have authority to speak on behalf of the buyers. I do not represent them. But basically, the parties are trying to find some resolution to the issues at hand here.
Thank you.
Can I just make one point?
Yeah,
So just to be clear, like, even if there's no impact to the wetland itself, in our town, the buffer zone is a resource area itself. as
Right,
well.
correct.
Just to clarify, so even though there were no direct impacts to the wetland itself, there's
Right.
still resource area impacts. So I just wanted to
Right.
make that clear.
And can
Well, actually-
I respond? Oh, sorry.
Actually, we don't know, we'll never know, because there's no baseline data dating back to 1997. So we truly don't know if there's been any damage or not to the resource area, the soils, the water table. We just really don't know, because there's been no baseline testing done to compare it with.
I suppose that is true. I would just point out that, I mean,
Nothing obvious, you're saying? There's nothing remarkable or obvious, and I
Well-
can understand that, but.
Right, I mean, and based on my observation of both the buffer zone and the vegetated wetland, there doesn't appear to be any damage. I mean, I've seen in wet seasons, it's typically wet, and in drier seasons, it is typically dry. And I mean, I know that obviously the patio and the deck took up much of the rear backyard, but it did contain any sort of recreational use in that backyard to these areas, which I think helped actually prevent any sort of erosion into both the buffer zone and the wetlands, because people weren't traversing on the grass, they were just staying on the patio or the deck.
Thank you.
okay, well, one of the commissioners says that he'd like us to have the stuff removed. I don't know what direction the rest of the commission wants to do. So if we deny the modification, so what, we go with an enforcement order?
The thing that I feel badly for is that clearly the buyer bought it without clear title, and, that's an issue between them and their attorney. But I feel badly by the current owner being forced into this position, but the reality is, if there's some sort of discussion with the prior owners, and that they're the ones responsible for this. And I'm assuming they're the only owner from the time it was first built, I think. I don't know that for certain, but I know that since the time that Mike approved the first deck, I think that they've been the same owner. I'm going down my thought process the same way Ryan did, and that's that if the paver blocks are on top of, and I don't know, but if I believe for a second that they're on top of the limit of the existing concrete, then you potentially could argue that there was no land disturbance, ground disturbance, and that work may fit within something that we would have granted. Still required a permit, but we likely would have granted something like that. The fire pit, absolutely not. We would not have allowed that. And the structure, positively not. So, if there's any wiggle room, it's the patio. Is that a hot tub on top of the patio? So it's not a structure per se, but it's, we regulate things like pools and how they're filtered and how they discharge. And, those types of things would typically come in as a filing. Putting a hot tub out there would have been coming as a filing with that patio. So I'm going to reserve discussion on the hot tub, because right now, I guess I would say, till we know more about it, it shouldn't be there. So out of the overall picture, if the patio is something that's permissible, we could discuss it, but in the overall scheme of things, the patio is minor compared to everything else.
I'd recommend you go back to the drawing board rather than have us vote to deny.
Okay.
It's
Is that just a
it's
continuance,
Just an
or?
opinion. Well, the continuance would be at your request. If you want to continue to come back with more information, you have that right to do that. All you have to do is request a continuance and you'll get it. If I were taking the temperature of the commission right now, I would say it's not favorable. And rather than get issued a denial, perhaps you'd go back and think about it a little more and come back another time with something that maybe we can approve.
Well, I would like to continue just because I also have to confer with the buyer's council about this, so I can't make any definitive decisions just for the sellers.
Okay, I was just trying to give you
Excellent.
some time to,
I appreciate that.
So I would suggest that you would continue, so you could talk to the other legal staff, and to be truthful, from the contentions of the board, the, what's there now is not approvable. And it may require enforcement order for removal. So weigh that in on your, when you come forward, talk to the new owners, the old owners, to the other attorney, and go from there. But the way we're looking at right now, that I would, well, you can hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would
No,
never,
I
it would never
understand.
be, it's a definite denial and a modification, but, so I would talk to everybody and the parties, and
Right, then I would absolutely request a continuance so I can confer with the other legal
Okay.
counsel as well.
do you want next meeting, or do you want the meeting after?
When would,
you can ask for the next meeting, and if you're not ready, just bump it
Okay.
to the.
Yeah, you can-
so the May 10th is the next meeting?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And, try to get ready for that one, and if you can't, just let us know.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have a motion to continue to May
So
10th.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous and one abstention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh,
We
they has to
continuing
continue.
the decision on the modification. That's what
We
we're
don't have
doing.
to, we don't have to do anything.
Gotcha.
Okay, next one.
Give them a chance to.
RDA, 634 Salem Street.
All righty. The homeowner, Ben Jurczyk, is with us this evening. This project involves a full reclaim and repaving of the existing driveway in a slightly smaller footprint. The very northwest corner of the driveway is approximately 11 feet from the edge of the bordering vegetated wetland, based on my site observations and measurements. The site contains an intermittent stream at the rear and associated BVW in a irregular pattern throughout the site. Approximately 300 square feet of the driveway that is closest to the wetland will be eliminated. That footprint will be loamed and seeded. This would place the edge of the driveway at 25 feet at its new closest point. The applicant has submitted a waiver request to gain approval for this work in that zone. The garage is located at the rear of the house underneath, so you have to swing down and around to get to the driveway, so that's kind of why we have a big driveway towards the back. Erosion controls are shown on the plan and will be implemented, enveloping the work that is on the wetland side and on the closest property line. Homeowner's here if you have any questions for him, but that's it in a nutshell.
No questions.
The only question, it's something that we condition after, we talked about this, Amy, about being there when they dig it up and pin it,
Yeah.
so we know where it's gonna be, right?
Yeah, so I can go over my suggested
Okay, I have no
conditions if you
questions.
want to.
Yeah, I think for a homeowner applicant doing their own work, this is pretty well thought out and pretty good submittal. Without realizing you did an alternatives analysis, because you have no alternative. What you've done is you've made it better by cutting the pavement back, which is what we're looking for. So I think you've done a good job. I'm all set. No questions.
So I recommend that you should vote on if you feel this needs a waiver for the work. If you don't, then, but I mean, as belt and suspenders,
Does it
you
need
know,
a
I
waiver
felt
on
that
any
he
kind of
should
replacement?
submit that.
You're 11 feet away, but he's pulling it back, right?
Yes.
Bringing it into compliance.
Yeah,
So I think the waiver's academic, we just grant it as a matter of fact, and so it's there for the record.
okay,
To be able to conduct the activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
okay.
So we have a motion for the waiver?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Just on discussion, we typically require a fee for a waiver, and that we also waive the fee requirement, because it's, don't we usually require a fee for a waiver request separately?
Not that I know of.
No? Okay. I'm all set then,
All
sorry.
right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
So then I would recommend closing the hearing and issuing a negative number 3 determination with the following special conditions. Prior to work commencing, a 12-inch stake mulch sock to be installed per the plan, and a pre-construction meeting to be held with the Conservation Department applicant and paving contractor to inspect those erosion controls and go over the scope of work. Once the driveway is reclaimed, the 25-foot no-disturb zone should be marked off to ensure that the new paving remains at that limit as proposed, and this measurement is verified by the Conservation Department staff. And then upon completion of stabilized disturbed areas, a post-construction meeting with our department and the applicant to approve removal of erosion controls.
I'll move the recommendations.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. You're all set, thank you.
Okay, so I'll get that permit out to you. I'll try for the end of the week, but probably it's more going to be like next week. All right? Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.
Next one is 37 Scott Circle.
All righty. Homeowners here with us this evening. The applicant is proposing to install a 14 by 11 shed to be supported by cinder blocks for the storage of outdoor care equipment, lawnmower, weed whacker, etc. Applicant is seeking the commission to consider 2 locations for the shed and has submitted a waiver request for location number 1. The commission will recall that this property is bounded by a couple of different wetland lines here, and there's a certified vernal pool in the BVW, which triggers the 50-foot no disturb zone and 75-foot no build zone. And I've outlined those on the plan here. Location number 1 is up in the southern corner, and it's an area where it's cleared in the 25 and the 50, just it's been that way. And there is actually a small swing set there. So the owner would like to just replace the swing set with the shed in that location number 1. Location number 2 is just outside the 75-foot no-build zone, but it's pretty close to the property line.
I can move up if you
Yeah,
want to,
so I would, it dawned on me after I was looking, I'm like, oh, because it's not 64 square feet or smaller, it would be a 5-foot setback as opposed to the full zoning setback of 15 anyway, at least. That wouldn't require a waiver from the commission, but it probably would require a zoning variance, which, who's gonna go for a zoning variance for a shed? That's a big,
Yeah, I wouldn't put it over your septic system either.
That girl's gonna go.
yeah. So, there's a third location that I think is viable, and it's right here at the apex of the 75, and it would comply with zoning, and it would still comply with the 75. So it's just an option that I think the commission can discuss with the applicant. But the applicant's here if you have questions for him.
Brian?
Yeah, I mean, location one is a no if there's other locations, obviously. Are you amenable to the location that she just pointed out in the corner there, or?
Yeah, if it fits, there is the exhaust pipe from the septic system that's back in that corner. I'd have to see exactly where it is.
Okay.
But that's why it shows the location number 2 a little bit further out, because there was less
Right, so here's the house.
septic
I
system.
mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it looks like you're right over your leach field though, right? With that,
right here for number 2,
right on the corner, yeah.
Yeah, about, yeah, right on the
or right
corner.
next to it, yeah.
Okay. I don't have an issue with either location 2 or the
3.
one that you pointed out.
Yep.
One is, you got a really good reason, so. That's what I got.
Why don't they have the vernal pool in it? One.
It's a good question, because Natural Heritage shows the pool in the middle of the cul-de-sac. So it could be, I don't know whether we're line. So,
just,
I mean,
because it would only be the resource area that has
yeah.
the vernal pool that would be the
It's,
75.
you know, honestly, all the BVW here has potential to
Okay.
function.
Aerial photograph suggests it's this one right behind 1. It's isolated. There's definitely, you can see standing water in of this particular shot. So
Yeah.
that's why I think you're saying that maintaining the 75 from that vernal pool would be
Yeah.
what triggers it.
So-
Again, without having actually get a certified pool and be out there
Yeah.
and verify it. But
Right,
remember, this is an RDA, and that's exactly what we're trying to debate here.
right.
Well, one would be within 75 of either pool though, right? Either
Yeah.
BVW, so
Yes.
it's still
Yeah, it's still 2 or 3, I was just thinking that
Right.
he might be able to
finagle. like,
finagle 2 just a little bit more, just to,
Yeah.
you know,
But,
make it meet zoning and stay off the septic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with Anthony and Joe, location 2.5. Probably
2.5.
probably the way to go, just make
Yeah,
it work.
Yeah, just somewhere here.
Somewhere there, it should satisfy everybody and not trigger any big problems.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think if a sketch came back and Amy got it, that would be fine. No need to make them come back for a second plan or anything like
It's probably your best move, if you can do it,
I think,
because you avoid everything that way.
I think the highlighted plan I gave you guys has a
Has 3.
has a number 3.
that. Yes.
It does.
Yeah,
So 3 or somewhere near 3,
Yeah,
because he had said there's a septic,
It can-
there's a septic structure in 3.
yeah.
So he's
a
got to
pipe,
avoid the
then
structure.
pipe, Yes,
The pipe, you called it, exhaust pipe you called it, I know what it is.
Yeah.
And, so avoid that,
right.
and,
And it still wouldn't be in front of the house.
it was still.
I think building department also looks at, does the accessory structure come in front of the front of the house?
Yeah, I
The
would-
plane,
I'd recommend there's ties on there to the corners of your system. When they come and deliver the lumber, or if it's a pre-assembled shed, just kind of mark it out so they don't drive over your septic system either. That'll be an expensive shed for you.
Okay.
Crush one of the lines.
And that would be a big oops. All right, so, do they have to come back with another plan, or can we
No,
do
I-
it here?
I think we can condition it and use the plan that I highlighted with, you know,
Well, there would have to be a record drawing at some point, so
Yeah.
you'd have to modify this plan,
yep,
mark it up,
okay,
color it.
Yeah, I think if you submitted a sketch before construction.
before construction, okay.
Pre-construction sketch that'll end up serving as the as-built, so that we actually know where stuff is.
Yes,
So the question would be for you to either move a little bit number 2, or go by number 3,
right,
and figure out where you want to put it. One's I tried to explain to you before you got here, that one wasn't gonna happen. So, what do you want, so have staff work with staff in doing this? Or do you want to do it here, Tom, where they have, exactly has to
Can't do
be?
it tonight.
Huh?
We can condition it tonight, but we can't pick a location.
But this is an RDA.
That's just what I was gonna go with.
This is an RDA. If we start issuing conditions,
I think the process we go to is we issue a positive determination of one, because it applies.
Yeah.
That's when positively it applies, you need to come in, and we're saying on the record, and it's not approvable, so don't even pursue one. There is an envelope that is west of the 75-foot no disturb line on the applicant's preferred site 2, that if they stay west of the 75-foot no disturb zone and to the sideline that complies with zoning and avoid the septic system, in that envelope is what we can approve.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Negative determination.
It's a negative for that.
so it'd be a negative determination, however, the final spotting of the structure would have to be determined at a pre-construction meeting, and if it can't be determined at that pre-construction meeting, then it comes back to us, and we vote it as a positive. So that's the only way we can do it and stay within the bounds.
Right.
Otherwise,
Looking at, if these shed sizes are to scale, and looking at the envelope available, there's no problem
there
putting
shouldn't
that
be a problem.
in that
That-
envelope,
that-
there's no problem.
Right.
So if I could just say one thing, so I made the sheds a little bit bigger because I didn't want to make them too small, and then it'd be bigger when I actually
You
build
even
it.
have more
So
room, is what you're saying.
I estimated the size of the shed a little bit bigger on these plans.
Perfect.
So,
so it can all be taken care of at one pre-construction meeting,
Yeah.
and if it can't be, then you have to come back in.
okay.
You get one shot to
So
square it away in the
your
field.
reliance on the 75-foot no disturb to a vernal pool is based on the subject plan that we're looking at. There's no line out in the field that you're gonna be able to walk up to. So how do you?
No, but I
you'll
could
pull-
use,
you'll pull ties
I
off
can
the
use
corner
the
of
house. Yes.
Pull corners off the ties?
Yes,
Okay.
But like I said, they have those two corners of the septic system that are there too.
that's true
so
too.
That'll
You
give
you
you.
can
good-
wiggle in an inch.
Yeah.
And that's your pre-construction
Yeah, so-
location.
And if you, I can explain, do you know how the ties work?
I do not, no.
So I will send a quick summary to Amy that she can share
Okay.
with you, and any contractor should be able to help you out too. But it's basically just taking two distances from two fixed points and intersecting the lines.
Okay, thanks.
So just a word of caution, you get one shot in the field at a pre-construction meeting. There's not gonna be like 25 meetings to talk about it, okay? Otherwise, we have to make a positive determination, which would trigger a notice. All right?
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thanks. Need a motion?
I'll move the recommendation as amended during discussion.
Which is,
Recommend, I move that we issue a positive determination for preferred location 1. And we could emphasize that that is not approvable. And that we issue a negative determination for any location west of the 75-foot no disturb zone, and that complies to the north with zoning requirements and avoids a septic system. And that the applicant at a pre-construction meeting verify with the the conservation administrator that that location falls within that envelope. That's my motion. That be a negative determination with all of those reasons behind it. And that's in the vicinity of proposed preferred location 2.
Pre-construction meeting, to verify and mark out final location.
Yep.
Approved by staff, post-construction meeting, with staff to verify compliance.
That it was there, yeah.
Also, the shed you're getting, is it pre-assembled or you're gonna put it together?
I haven't bought it yet. I wanted to get it approved before I spent any money, so.
it's big, it's good.
Good idea.
Try the shoes on before you...
Yeah, exactly.
Just be aware, like Tony said, you don't wanna drive equipment over the
11 by
step.
14,
Yeah.
it's gonna be broken down, they'll be bringing it in panels.
Yeah, I was looking at like eastern sheds,
Yeah.
places like that, get
You don't wanna
multiple
drive
panels
over,
and
have
put it on.
equipment over new septic system.
To Louis' point exactly, is when they buggy it in, buggy it around your house, it looks like that you wanna go straight shot, just don't get on top of your
Around.
leach field.
On the side of the wetlands.
Just stay off the
Okay.
leach field.
So that's something you can identify that at the pre-construction meeting, you can identify the area where vehicles should not go, so they don't crush down on your system.
Yeah, put some
Would that cause an
fence.
issue, though, going to around the house this way, close to the wetlands, just bringing the construction material?
Stay in the grass area? I think that's.
Where's your driveway? Your driveway's right there?
Driveway's right there, yep.
You're gonna come across the front yard, you're probably gonna drive across the tank with a buggy, but you're gonna go between the corner of the house and the leach field and come in this way
Okay.
and around the back. And you'll avoid the leach field.
I mean, I don't see an issue going around the back of the house either if there's room.
Yeah.
Just stay on the lawn, don't go blazing the trail.
Alrighty, so.
All right.
Was there a
So we got a.
second?
We got a
or-
motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Great.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
Have a
So
good
I'll
one.
try to get that permit to you. It's probably gonna be next week, based on my workload.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming in.
Next one is Mesoreco Farm Trail upgrades.
Alrighty, I'm gonna pull up the map.
We always stop by saying thank you for all you do.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I want to get that. There we go. Just want to pull that up. Alrighty. Okay, we've got representatives of FONAT with us this evening. This is an RDA for trail upgrades at the Rays Pond Mesorenco Open Space Complex. Ray Pond and Scout Trails are slated to receive a few sections of boardwalks totaling approximately 700 linear feet within the seasonally muddy parts of the trails. 2 footbridges are proposed at the southerly section of Scout Trail northerly shore of the Ray Pond. A section of trail at the north side of Ray Pond needs to be rerouted. Now that we bought 400 Great Pond Road, we can allow lake levels to be higher. So that's translating into higher levels in Ray's Pond, and that's coming closer to some of the trails that are, closer to Ray's Pond, but with the water coming up, it's causing, really wet conditions, not just muddy conditions, just not passable. So they want to eliminate a section of trail and reroute. I visited the site with Steve Foster, who's a FONAT member, and we identified, an area that's going straight between 2 large trees, not much understory that needs to be removed or anything like that. And then there's a swale that is feeding into Ray's Pond that needs to be footbridged over there. But that's sort of the summary. The section of footbridge off of the Ray Trail, off the parking where the pump station is, that's a function of when they performed work for the sewer upgrade. And it was really a function of just the equipment moving back and forth, compacting those soils so much that it just turned it into, it's just not draining. So it's really a mess. So people are starting to go around and getting closer to the wetland with a new trail. So we really have to head that off. So, but that would just go through that pre-existing footpath. Well, actually, it's sort of like a road.
That's a road now.
It's like a road. But, so.
All right,
I'll just second the thank you, for these projects, everything you guys do. Really appreciate it. I'm all for it. I have no questions.
Hi, guys. I have no questions right now.
neither do I. You guys do a great job.
Thanks.
I just want to understand what Amy had said. I think the raised pond elevation in Kachikwick are equal. They're rising and
Yeah,
falling together.
together,
So
right.
the 2 bridges in that boardwalk at Raised Pond are really driven by the action at Kachikwick. The others, or all the other boardwalks, are driven by the Beaver Pond, correct? unrelated to Kachikwick levels.
Not even beaver ponds, so much as just runoff, just keeping it wet.
Because the beaver pond, God, it's been there 25 years now, but there's a beaver deceiver in there, it's maintaining its level, it's not getting any higher, right? Okay, beautiful. I'm all set. My son got his Eagle Scout project, Blazing Scout Trail probably
No way.
15 years ago, and he'll be pleased to hear these improvements.
Oh,
That's great, yeah.
So thank you.
No, just to speak to the waiver request, I think you're right, there's no practical alternative, and even if you did reroute the trail, people are gonna use the trail there and cause more damage than good, so, no, thank you. It's,
Maybe I could just mention, I had a question when
Yeah.
I toured the site with Steve. My recommendation on the access from the parking, that was disturbed by the construction vehicles. I really thought you're better off putting geotextile down and a bunch of gravel, personally, rather than a boardwalk there. Boardwalk will be in the way for bringing any more equipment in down the road, and when you looked at the grade, where they brought the fill in, kind of raised the level towards the pond, and so you're kind of capturing the water. So I think the grading was also poorly
Yeah, I
done,
think it
personally, in
was
my mind.
just- I don't think they really did.
I mean, well-graded, well-drained gravel is gonna move the water through the horizon, but my fear would be bringing any more material in, you're gonna trap water and just create a quagmire on either side. I mean, we really have to be very carefully thought of, but you guys are the trail experts.
I mean, we could certainly put the boardwalk down. This is-
How many feet are we talking about? It's pretty lengthy,
that,
right?
That section that was disturbed, 50, 70.
Yeah, 70, 75 max,
In the past,
max.
We already gave them a certificate of compliance, didn't we?
Yeah, but, but what was in my mind, it was a boardwalk, because there was nothing that could be done with those compacted soils.
Yeah, that's what,
And I think if gravel were brought in, it would just,
I think it's, unless you got real deep gravel and even put some drainage pipes across it, you're not gonna accomplish what we want to accomplish.
Okay,
The boardwalk does that.
sure.
I think we could put the boardwalk to the side, since it is a sewer easement. Next time vehicles need to get through, if the boardwalk's right in the middle of the trail, it's
Yeah.
gonna have to be moved again. If there's I don't know if we want to put it on the pond side
No, we
or the
want it-
non-side.
yep.
Put some heavy trap rock, trap rock gets crushed out.
Well, the bigger the better, but, I mean, half these guys do trap rock by hand, it's kind of painful.
I was going to say boardwalk's cheaper and less labor intensive, so.
Yeah.
We're debating bigger, heavier trap rock just to, create a positive drainage media through the cracks and voids, yet gives a wide stepping stone path, like a Roman.
Yeah, I think we'd
Fire-
rather do the
fire
boardwalk at that point, but.
Yeah, exactly. I think the boardwalk is an easier alternative.
Yeah,
It
you don't
serves the
wanna be-
purpose.
You don't want to be doing erosion stone or trap rock by hand.
And hauling it 70 feet.
No, that's not.
And hauling it 70 feet through the mud.
I don't think they budgeted for that either.
I don't think you're going to get many volunteers either.
You're right, exactly.
Amy, is out of all the photographs, is there one that shows this area that we're talking about? Is it where the
Oh, yeah,
piece of
you
plywood
guys,
is?
could you maybe,
That section.
It might not be in the application, unless. Oh, no, it is, it is. You just can't see the pond in the photo. It's the last pair of photos at the bottom with that cut
Grading
off.
stake next to the stump?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
one along the
Yeah.
pond.
yeah.
And the sewer pipe is right under there, right? So over time, I mean, theoretically, DPW is gonna go in there and maintain access every 5 or 6 years, because they should be mowing, but we don't know.
They won't do anything
It's
until they
shady, so it's
do
not
something.
like the growth is profuse
Yeah.
ever, so.
My suggestion was gonna be just favor one side or the other, don't just throw it right down the middle, because it will be in the way.
Yeah.
Keep it to the side. That's all I have. I think they did. coming up out of French Farm, coming down the hill.
That's what Amy says this requires a waiver.
Well, they submitted a waiver because they're pretty close to the wetlands in some spots, well, with the bridges and over the swale.
So
Some of the activities are within 25 feet, they need a waiver for that.
Okay, so we need a motion for a waiver.
I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. And approve the RDA motion.
So I suggest -2, -3 and 2. 2 because you're spanning some of the footbridges are spanning some of the intermittent swale. Let's see, and these are the typical conditions that you guys always apply. Notification to the Conservation Department prior to work. All work to be conducted using hand tools and equipment, and there be no cutting of wood within the resource areas or buffer zone. All excess material be removed from the site and disposed of properly, and then upon completion, contact our office for a site inspection, post-construction.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Sorry, if I may just make one point of order. Much of this will be untreated rough cut hemlock 2x10.
Hemlock,
So
okay.
no treated at all. We will cut that in the area, but we understand very well not to
Got
cut
it.
pressure treat.
Okay.
And
No, you guys been in front of us enough.
Yeah, I know.
We
I know, we don't
trust
usually take stuff for granted either, but in your case,
But
we
thank
do.
you.
Okay, so we have motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
Thank you all.
much, guys.
appreciate it.
Oh, I had a question. I did talk to an abutter who is actually in DC, but she had a question about when you do trail cleanups, do you find a lot of cigarette butts? No? Okay, that's good, because she was kind of concerned about potential for forest fires, brush fires, and didn't know, what the level of smokers were out there.
We don't find a lot of litter, really, in general.
Well, that's kind of nice.
Not too many people using the trails that are.
I was just gonna say, the longer the trail, the less the smoke is.
Yes, they're all piled up at the bottom of the hill.
You're gonna find the smoke, you're gonna find the
That's so
smokers in the
funny.
parking lot,
Yeah, sucking air.
having a couple beers, waiting for somebody to do the loop.
We'll find the empty beer cans on the trail.
Well,
but-
yeah.
That's right,
It's
that's
probably
exactly
missing
right. You find it
beer
right where the cars
Yeah.
park.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Next one is NOI 242-1859 Zero Turnpike, request to continue till May 24th.
So moved.
They're making progress though, right?
They're working through I think
Yeah.
they're about finishing with the responses to the peer review.
Do we have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Next one is enforcement order 129 Forest Street.
Yeah. I'll just do the first, I guess. Alrighty, pursuant to a building application for the installation of a propane tank, I performed a site inspection to get a handle on how close the tank would be to the wetland. So the house is flanked on 2 or 3 sides with wetland. You'll see I have the natural heritage layer on with the potential vernal pool, that dot there. So the wetlands do have potential vernal pool function based on their hydrology. I think they're holding enough water to support that. Unfortunately, once I got on site, there was a patio and a walkway under construction at the side of the house, and work is as close as 26 feet from the wetland. So I issued a cease and desist violation letter. I ended up having to sign off on the propane tank because that left him without heat or hot water. So I didn't think that was, I think that was the right thing to do. And I think, I don't know, the propane tank could be in the 50, I don't know, but whatever. It's sort of an emergency right now, so. Homeowners are here this evening. So I think we're just want to start the conversation and get some direction. I personally think that the wetland needs to be delineated and evaluated for vernal pool function, because if it is a vernal pool, then we have much stricter setbacks. And
Can I ask you a question? What is a vernal pool?
okay, so a vernal pool is a,
Remember a couple of weeks ago, in the middle of the night, you heard beep, beep,
beep, beep, beep.
all the noises?
Yes or no to that question?
The only thing I hear out there is coyotes.
I know.
That was a,
Have you heard it? It's a vernal
Well-
pool.
So,
well, it's a specific type of wetland that supports,
Does it have to hold water?
not all the time.
Only for 3 months out of the year.
Okay, because I mean, it was dry for 10 years.
Yeah, it'll
Supposed to be.
dry.
Totally dry for 10
It'll
years.
have water this time of year, the frog masses, egg masses will show up,
Okay,
frogs will hatch, and then it'll dry up.
yeah. But I mean, it was totally dry for 10 years. Totally dry. There was never any water in it. Only when it rained, it would run down the stream and go out.
So if
And
that's the
it.
case, there wouldn't be any evidence if you wanted to get it analyzed.
I mean, you know
Well,
what I'm
it's
saying?
standing water right now.
There's standing water there now, but I mean, it's been so wet, right? So it's been wet all winter and everything else, and the swamp that's across the driveway bleeds into that. So I think if there's anything, it's over there. That's what I'm just, because that creek is dry half the time, and,
If it's got animals that are typical to a vernal pool,
yeah, well, that's what I'm asking, I
Then-
guess. I
then
don't know
it's-
what that is.
yeah.
yeah, any wetland scientist that you,
Well, right now is the time.
yeah, now's the
Look at egg
time.
masses right now.
Yes.
And
Okay. No, I'm
just
just,
make sure they're familiar
I
with
have
our
no idea what
bylaw,
it is.
because our bylaw is a little bit different than just the state requirement for,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Okay.
But, you know, it-
because I see this on the thing, and I was like, I don't even know what that is.
So, you asked a simple question, but the reality is, and we're way out of order on this one, we'll try to help.
Yeah,
Understanding what the resource area is very important at first. If it's simply a wetland,
Right.
there's a certain setback you need to provide to that. If that wetland is also a vernal pool,
Yeah.
that setback gets greater.
Gets greater.
So until we know what it is,
okay,
we don't know how much of a violation you have. Your
Okay.
violation is that you've got improvements within 50 feet, but luckily, outside the 25.
right.
25, you can do nothing. So we're at this moment debating the issue between the 50 and 26, where you're at.
Right.
If it's a vernal pool, you got a bigger issue, but we don't know that yet.
And the other thing is that because that area, I'm just looking at it because it's wet. I don't know anything else about it. I'm just saying that when the water goes through there, is a vernal pool at a certain point away?
There's-
Or is it
So
the whole
habitat-
thing?
The habitat extends to the edge of the wetland, and because of that, then the setbacks go to the edge of the wetland, so,
And that's where we differ from the state reg.
yes.
Okay,
So it needs to be delineated by a wetland scientist. That's the key here. You gotta get the services of a certified wetland scientist to identify the setbacks for you. They'll hang flags in the field, and then the flags need to be picked up.
All right,
okay.
that's, yeah. no,
That's
it's-
the only way we'll know. We
What it
can't-
is, that's what I'm getting at.
We
'cause
can't
I don't
make
know.
any
No.
decisions without knowing where the line is.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, where it's
To
at.
identify where the resource area is, and then where the upland or buildable area is.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be able to identify that.
So,
This is an older house, no recent permit activity, no water conditions,
No.
way before all that.
Septic system ancient.
So the reason I say all that is, unlike you were sitting here when you saw us get a little stiff-armed, strong-armed on another applicant.
Yeah.
You guys are in a different realm. They knew what they had. You had no idea what you had. So that's why we're trying to give the guidance.
How long you been in?
We built that house in 90, we moved in 92, May of 92.
92.
so it predates the.
It was,
bylaw.
and the setbacks were
No,
way
no,
different
no,
than
no, it
92.
doesn't.
Well,
Nope.
It doesn't
Well,
predate
it-
the bylaw.
Oh,
No, I came on in 90, and we
Is
had
that what
we
you-
had the bylaw in 90,
all right.
yeah. Our bylaw
Yeah,
went to
I
the
mean-
SJC in 1989, TDJ versus Town of North Andover.
But out in this area, That resource area could have changed a lot in the 30 years.
On Forest?
Big time.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but it's possible.
My point is, if no prior permitting activity, you
The only permit was 20 years ago to put
For the
additions on, and they're beyond beyond the setback, because the setback changed.
yeah.
So we had a deck out back, and we built a two-story addition where the deck was. That was all permanent and everything, and that runs through that. I don't know if it's 50 feet now, it was 30 feet back then, when we built the house. And it changed, I know that changed, I remember that, but they granted it because the footprint was already there.
That's all zoning. Everything you just described is zoning.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Not
Yeah, but it was all, I mean, everything was done. That looks like the original, right?
Right, so how do we
I think,
how do we give them guidance?
I think, my personal advice would be, start with the wetland scientist and evaluate for vernal pool habitat.
If it is one.
There's a recommendation about doing a survey, but I would hold off on the survey, because that's gonna depend, what the resource is gonna depend on how far they wanna survey. So instead of
That's
having them pay for multiple trips.
Yeah, well, they go hand in hand. The flag line gets hung.
But
And
once
the-
they know whether it's a vernal pool.
If it's a vernal pool and all of the work is within it,
Yeah.
why hire a surveyor? The order might be to take the whole thing out.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh,
Why
okay,
hire a
I
surveyor?
got you.
Right, versus if it's not a vernal pool, there may be just minor modifications to the work that you've done versus, so I think that's, first and foremost, I would say that, provided that it's stable, they're
It's
cease and
stable,
desist
it's
this,
not.
give them 60 days or something like that, or to
Yeah,
engage a
that makes sense,
wetland.
'cause I don't
thinking
even
2
know
months.
where it's
Yeah,
at.
They're busy.
Yeah, engage a wetland scientist and either flag it. And it could be that your wetland consultant goes out there and says, yeah, it's not even worth spending the time, this is a vernal pool.
Right,
Then
right,
at that point in time, if you want to come back sooner, contact
yeah.
Amy and
Yeah,
come
oh,
back.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's not-
Yes, and
So,
the
but-
sooner the better, really.
Yeah, but we're not,
It's helpful.
to someone to actually do if they look and say it's really marginal, to do it properly and do a classification, they'd have to
Because
possibly.
the whole side, if you look where the patio is now, that whole side and back, there's a riprap wall there that was put in when we built, they told us to put it in when we built the house. And it was lawn on top of that. So that wall I always kind of use that as the guideline to the wetland, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what they told us to do.
So you're talking like the old existing,
Yeah, that whole area is filled on the top. It's always been like this since we built the house.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to face the house out toward Forest Street, because I didn't want to dig the pit that is there for the driveway, because now we have part of the rains, the water goes down the driveway, and there's no way to get it out of there, and, by pumping. And so I wanted to face the house the other way, and at that point, the Conservation Commission, I don't remember any of you guys on it, but I remember the guy that was the head, his name was Richard Doucette, and he was on sabbatical, and
You
we went
remember,
like
he remembers Richard.
we went like 6 or 8 months. Well, the reason why I remember that is I have a relative with the same name, but it was,
We still remember for different reasons.
well, he was on sabbatical. So we
Yeah.
were 6 months, almost 8 months, trying to get through conservation.
Yeah, he used to go on sabbaticals.
Yeah,
Quite a
and then
bit.
when he came back, he just said, we're trying to figure out where the house goes, not whether or not, because it was supposed to go across that creek and out back another 800 feet. Because that's where, and it ended up putting the septic system, the bleaching field out there. You know, but I wanted to face it the other way so I could drive uphill into the garage, and the water would have stayed down there. But they wanted us to turn it the other way, so we turned it the other way, and they made us put that wall in around the whole thing and make the lawn on top of the wall. So that's why we did what we did.
Anthony's suggestion was a very good one.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned with the 2-month window, 60-day window, losing the vernal pool, the
No, yeah,
simplicity of
I
the vernal pool. So I'm wondering, out loud, if maybe we have permission from the owners and the occupants of the house to have you go out there and just take a quick gander at it, not a certification, just, might this be a problem, or from what I see, it doesn't look like it's gonna be, I think this 2-month window is adequate. But I think we probably don't wanna lose.
no,
That was just kind of my thought, was that's probably the time period that you have to.
You only have
to
really
get
a
certain-
month.
That's true.
Yeah.
so.
yeah, it's,
We're a month into it already.
Yeah.
It was early.
But that is job one. You gotta
Yeah.
get the scientist out there and evaluate that pool.
And I don't wanna make any more work maybe, but I think
And then-
maybe
Right.
a half hour outing, an hour outing out there, and just to give some guidance.
But the evaluation's probably gonna take place around midnight. That's when you really,
Right.
that's the correct time to evaluate a vernal pool.
Well, I'm not going to be
Oh,
there.
you're looking for
I'm not going to
masses.
be there at midnight, so.
Because you're not going in looking for masses.
That's how we did them on the Foster Farm property a million years ago. We went
That's
out, we went out at midnight with headlamps, we were crawling around looking for wood frogs.
Look for peepers.
Well,
It's not
think I was
commensurate with
Jim. I
my
used to-
pay scale.
No, that's,
It wasn't your job classification?
I would,
I used to send Julie in a chest waders, and she'd be right up to her neck looking for egg masses.
Maybe
and she'd find
Jamie,
them during
maybe
the day.
Jamie will go. Jamie, you wanna go?
Yeah.
I would look for a qualified wetland scientist that
Yeah.
has experience in vernal pools. And if they say that, you know, we certify vernal pools, if it was my house, I would move on to the next one, to, you know, to someone who
Knows the science.
knows the science that can say, well, you know, just because I saw this, it's not a vernal pool. Because there are some people who are very conservationist and think everything is a vernal
Right,
pool.
right.
That may not be your best.
Right, and there's different,
There's
Between the
criteria, but
state-
someone who's very familiar with vernal pools.
You're
right.
not, you're
But
not
we have
suggesting
our-
that.
But we have local.
No, but
But we have local
All right.
criteria.
Let's
It's our
there are
local
people who will
criteria.
come,
Yeah, I get it.
they'll come and just certify your vernal pool because they think they're doing a great service, and if it's just a depression, without,
I would go see staff. She has a list.
Do
of
you still have a
reputable-
list
Yes.
of qualified scientists that you could?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so
Why don't you just,
anyone on that list.
just
will
let
know.
Amy email you a list of, say, 10 or 12 different scientists that
Okay.
have come, and then you can pick from there. And
Okay.
we know those are good scientists.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna continue.
That'll save you from going all around the world.
Right.
So we're gonna continue till,
We need to ratify the enforcement order first, right? And continue the discussion.
That's right.
Those are two things we have to do?
This was actually a violation letter, so I didn't,
So no enforcement order yet.
not, right. I mean,
So we don't need to do anything other than, we're aware of this. In 2 months when they come back, the 30, 60
Or
day
sooner.
continuous
Oh, sooner, I mean,
Yeah,
sooner the
that's-
better for us,
so-
too.
Then the enforcement order will come out, it's very specific.
Well, you gotta watch out, under this, under suggested recommendations, there's some stuff we don't want them to do yet. We just want them to hire a scientist and identify,
Determine the resource area type.
determine the resource area, stop.
why don't you just issue an enforcement order with that?
I just did.
Second, yeah. It's all in favor.
Do it, ratify.
So, engage a wetland scientist
To determine,
to determine function of vernal pool.
yes, determine if or
If
not.
not.
if it is a vernal.
And then let them stop the work right there and report back to us.
Right.
And then we'll know how to actually give some,
All right, continue to
Some
cease
better
and desist
direction.
work and, okay.
some guidance
and-
that makes sense, that doesn't send them all over the
And
world.
eval.
It cost them a ton of money.
And cost them 10 grand when, you know, it wouldn't be necessary.
Okay. All right, so I'll get that out to you like
So
tomorrow.
you want, does that have to
And
come?
I- and I-
2 days, yeah.
You can actually go online, we have a list of consultants,
Okay.
yeah, and, yeah,
Amy, hold on, that requires a motion, I think, that new,
it does.
yeah, so,
Right.
that would be my
That's your-
motion.
That's your motion.
And they-
For the enforcement order.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
seconded
But
it.
again-
Oh,
yeah.
Joe, okay.
Just have to call the
Joe
vote.
second.
All those in favor said aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
All right, thank you.
Great, okay,
I want to make sure we got it in the ballpark.
okay, yep.
You know, I didn't want to approve your propane tank. I figured you guys could handle cool showers for a little while.
We did.
A lot of 20-pound bottles.
All right, let us know how you make out.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Next one. 242-1769 Dogwood Circle.
Dogwood.
Okay.
Dogwood.
Yeah. That's Mercedes' project.
Yeah, it is.
That's okay. I'm not saying anything bad.
He's no longer with
Someday
us.
you'll listen to me.
What, are they gonna fire me?
There are a couple of companies out there that are blank vernal pool.
Yeah, no, I know.
Dogwood.
You don't have a representative here tonight?
Yes, Paul. You can come on
Oh,
up,
is he?
Paul.
Is there somebody there?
Paul
Oh,
Bergman.
I'm sorry, I can't see you
He
behind
was
the podium.
hiding in the cabana. Okey dokey.
Okay.
Okay, so the commission will remember issuing an order in the November of 2019. And it governs the construction of a recon block retaining wall, which was to be landward from the existing boulder retaining wall that was showing signs of failure. Work to take place within the 50-foot no-build zone and partially within the 25, as the current conditions are built with existing buildings, patios, lawn, and the existing wall was part of the previously permitted 40B. So it's 40B, that's why we have not the usual setbacks that we require. The order was issued to Property Management Andover and signed by Mr. Toscano of PMA. Recently, it came to my attention that the work was undertaken and completed without my or the design engineer's knowledge. The design engineers was Williams and Sparagis. No condition of the order was complied with. I verified that the wall was indeed installed with photos that I took on a site visit while on site with Mr. Bergman, because the property management company has engaged Mr. Bergman to do another wall behind Juniper Circle, which is in the same condo complex. So,
They're contemplating that?
yes.
Okay. They need to clean this up first.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
There'll be no more permits.
They
Yeah.
did that a long time ago.
I just want to make sure, it's right out of the gate.
Ryan?
And that was number 4 in my letter. It was.
Yeah, I agree with all your recommendations. I mean, I think, yeah, it sounds like nothing was done, right? In accordance with the orders, right?
Except
So
for
it's
work.
like, it's sort of like start over and complete all the stuff that needed to be completed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward from the paperwork standpoint. Is the wall in the location it's supposed to be, though?
I think so.
Okay, but, I mean, you were
I mean,
recommending an
it's up-
as-built as well, which obviously I agree with, because we need to confirm that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah. So just for Paul's benefit, you know, obviously, we're having this discussion with the commission, and they're going to give directives, but I suggested that the commission require the applicant to complete appropriate pre-construction requirements, record the order, pay the bond, go through these motions, I mean, as if you were starting really starting over and doing it right. Require that the contractor that did the work provide some sort of affidavit of what he did and how the wall was constructed. I mean, just to glean as much information, I don't know. I mean, he's
I
laughing.
know, Paul, you were the structural on this project, correct? Or geotech for the,
On this, Tony,
yes,
No, the project, the retaining wall
the
project.
retaining wall,
this wall that we're talking about?
yes.
No,
No.
Oh, okay, so,
he's being,
All right,
he's
so I-
being retained to help
He's just
him.
been-
You can't beat him
he-
up.
all right, no, that's, I meant
He's
to,
just
No,
been-
no,
he's
no.
just been retained
Yeah, Richie
now.
Williams.
Yeah.
This came in through Williams Projects, right?
Sporadic,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm kind of being brought in on damage control.
all right, no, that's, I thought you might have been the structural.
Right, so it's the last of the ninth.
No.
The bases are loaded,
Yeah,
You are in a very enviable position.
and you're in a
It-
position where you gotta strike out the bat.
I agree with everything Amy just said. We were hired by PMA, I don't know, a month or two ago to start on the permitting and design for a wall at Juniper.
Juniper.
We've also been before the commission over the last several months for a couple of decks on
Yeah.
Sandalwood. The roads all kind of blend together, but it's the same Oak Ridge Village, whatever it's called. And you're right, we didn't survey for this, we didn't permit it, we didn't design it. And as a matter of fact, when Amy was over there, as she said, meeting with us at Juniper to look at that proposed wall location, this came up. And after we finished talking about Juniper, the three of us went over and walked this wall with Amy. That's the first time I've seen the wall. And then PMA, and I don't know about the politics or anything else, that's none of my business, I'm just the engineer. PMA instructed us to work with Amy and the commission to try to fix this. And what Amy and I and Taylor talked, our Taylor, not
Yeah, not the
your
old Taylor, yeah.
talked about out at the site was at least doing an as-built. That just came up a few minutes ago.
I'm sorry, there's an order of conditions, right?
Yeah,
For this wall?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
But the bond hasn't been paid
no,
yet.
nothing,
So-
zero.
So, I don't know if you're aware of that or not, hopefully you are.
Performance bond?
Yeah, the performance bond for the order of conditions
Yeah.
has not been posted yet.
The order hasn't been recorded, nothing.
So, nothing's gonna happen until all those steps get
Yeah.
taken care of first.
Yeah.
And that should happen like yesterday. Then you go, when you deliver the bond and everything that has to come to Amy, then she can give you your next step as to what needs to be done. The alternative is not good.
I don't think I've ever been in this position before, but can a performance bond be issued for something that's already,
We'll get to that as we go around the table.
we're
We're not done.
We're not done yet.
We're not done. You're gonna have plenty of messages to
So
bring back to
the
your
answer,
clients.
the answer is yes. All right, if you ever expect to get an order of conditions and a certificate of compliance for that order, if there's not a bond in place, nothing's gonna happen.
I just meant, I understand it, and if this had been done right, you're right, the bond would have been
It's a
issued before
pre-construction condition.
a shovel hit the ground,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I'm just wondering, I don't know if they refer to him as an underwriter or an agent, but
Don't get us.
Oh, it's
Bonds
a
are cash.
No, it's
It's
cash.
a check.
It's cash money.
You're not going to any surety company, you're not going to insurance company, you're giving us whatever the, probably $5,000.
I
Might
don't
have
know,
been
I don't
10.
remember what it was, but it's a cash,
cash.
it's cash money.
okay.
And that'll be here by Monday. There's fines and ticket as of tomorrow morning, if it gets to me.
Or if your clients balk at that, and they don't want to do it that way, you need to tell Amy that right away. Just say, look, the people that hired me don't want to cooperate with me. Let us know. And then
$5,000, that's what I
And
thought.
then we'll take the appropriate action on behalf of you. You won't have to do a thing anymore.
I can't speak for PMA, but I'm willing to bet that they're going to be amenable to this because, as I said a couple of minutes ago, they just want to work with the commission and Amy to fix this. They realize what happened.
Okay, so I believe you. So that's perfect. Amy will be in the office tomorrow.
I can't promise when PMA will deliver a check, but I'm gonna text the owner of the company on my way home.
Please
Is-
explain to them the time is of the essence.
Okay, I will. Is Amy gonna put, are you gonna put the requirements in writing for us?
Yes. Yeah, they're going to vote on an enforcement order. But we're,
Do they have the original order anymore?
actually, the original order was sent to Williams and Sparagus.
I would be willing to reissue the order with original signatures so it can be recorded, because that's going to be an issue for you if you have an old
Oh, I can
order
true
or-
attest it. I can
Okay,
true-
yeah,
I
so
can
if you
true
true attest,
it.
just get them a copy so we
Yeah.
can,
A certified copy,
yes.
a certified copy, witnessed and attested here in the
Yeah.
building is adequate.
Yeah, that's just to make sure you can get it recorded.
That can be done right away.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, no, that's,
Um, The recommendations are all right on point.
no, that's. Yeah, and then,
Yeah.
once
I
the,
I think the recommendations are all right on point. I don't disagree with any of them.
yeah, once the bond's posted, the order's recorded,
Step one,
yeah, then get an as-built plan, and
yeah, all it
Yeah.
has to,
I think it's all,
there's nothing here that's waived.
no, I'm not looking to waive anything, I'm just saying that, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that's
If some-
insurmountable.
If somebody,
It's
if
not,
somebody
yeah.
built something
Yeah.
with no permit, up against the wetland, no monitoring, no design, no bond, no anything, and just did it, what would this commission do?
Well, we'd issue a cease and desist order.
and you tell them to take it out.
I'm not going that far yet, but I'll tell you,
I'm there.
Well,
I'm close to that,
so
but
that could be. I'm not saying no to that. I'm just saying for right now, because we got a brand-new guy coming in,
That's why I'm,
give him like a couple days, and then he can report back to,
this project isn't even his, this is somebody else's project.
well, he's been asked.
Yeah, I know, that they're
He's
throwing
been
him, they're
retained
throwing
by-
him into
by-
the fire.
He's been retained by Property Management of Andover. They're the people that run the project,
Right.
are responsible for the real estate. They're like a homeowners association, property manager, something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the
they
condo
ma- they-
complex.
They manage a lot of condo
I-
properties.
All right, so,
I'd be, myself, I think it should be removed and do it over again. And do it the right way, like it was permitted originally. For some reason, whatever happened to,
I don't know.
garages?
They didn't,
You know,
they
you
didn't
just, they
call
hired him
them.
to do the engineering, they had him here to do the
No one
permitting.
no one
They-
followed up
they
with
did all the
anything.
right steps, and then all of a sudden,
Well-
we're stopping.
if I were a gambling man, I would say that what happened is Mr. Green didn't show up.
Yeah. So they went, so,
Every project, it
Oh.
depends upon Mr. Green.
well, Mr. Green didn't show up, so they decide they're gonna do what they want.
So now, we have Mr. Bergman pinch hitting for Mr. Green.
let's keep going.
He's not strong enough.
I'm chomping at the bit.
Yeah, he's chomping it. Joe's chomping.
He may
so-
be a good hitter,
So-
he's not strong enough.
Let me see if I got this
And I don't
right.
differ, but I'm going to try to do this in a logical fashion.
All
Roger.
right, go ahead.
We should ratify and amend the enforcement order.
First of all, is there an enforcement order? I think it's
Oh,
only a
yeah.
violation order.
No, it's
Is
an
it just
EO.
not-
It's an EO.
It's an EO.
What
Yes.
amendments, what needs
All
to be
right.
amended on it, Amy?
Well, let Joe talk.
I'm
He
just
has
trying
the-
to cut to the chase.
No, I know, but.
Yeah,
but-
well, so
but-
the enforcement order's come into compliance, one. I'll tell you, from my own perspective, this reeks of, we got our permit, nobody's ever gonna catch us. They did it deliberately. So I'm gonna say, come into compliance, fines are ticking, $200 a day tomorrow. Actually, when did they receive this? I'm willing to fight the battle, April 19th. Fines are ticking to April 19th. No, but you know what, it's only a few days. Fines are ticking as of tomorrow. $200 a day is where I'm gonna go. That the very first step of coming into compliance, you shall post the bond and you shall record the order. If you do not record the order, no later than Wednesday, next week, give me whatever date that is, the town will record the order on your behalf and will seize the bond to the extent of the filing fees to record the order. Because the first thing they're gonna do is post the bond. And if they're not, $200 a day is gonna cover it anyway.
May I just offer a suggestion? I'm not convinced that the bond is anywhere near sufficient to complete the project.
Then we have to amend the order to do
That's-
that.
See, if we're starting to go down that road, and you look at the bond, and I just heard Amy say $5,000, and you look at the extent of the work, $5,000 isn't gonna do anything.
And that's why $200 a day ticking, they'll be at that in 2 weeks,
Well,
4 weeks.
okay.
We're gonna end up the equivalent of cash that's gonna motivate them to post the bond.
Well, I'm listening to you. There are other actions we can take prior to seizing the bond. And Lou's idea is a good one. Remove the work that was done without a permit.
I'm not done yet.
And-
I'm saying,
Yeah.
I'm giving time limits within an enforcement order, which is what we're
So you're
talking
laying it
about.
out? Okay.
Post the bond, give them a date.
Okay.
Record the order no later than, give them a date, Wednesday.
Okay, so
Bond by Monday, record by Wednesday.
we need to.
If you don't record
We
by,
gotta flip that. We need the recording first. Record order, we need the book and page for the bond paperwork.
they should be able to go to the registry tomorrow.
Tomorrow, absolutely.
Electronically. So, fine, we want to do it in that order. Post the bond, cash, no later than Monday. Having not recorded the order or posted the bond on Monday, and again, the fine's still ticking tomorrow, we will then record the order on behalf of the commission and recoup the fees from the bond and/or fines. You will then conduct an as-built plan, and if the as-built plan depicts a wall location other than what was approved, then the wall is coming out and being reinstalled in accordance with the plans. in accordance with the order and the plans.
You say closer to the wetlands than only because,
If it differs,
what if they moved it back towards the building and further from the
let us
wetlands?
decide on that.
Yeah, no, all right.
Report it back to us with an as-built. If we find it's a less of an impact, we could,
Yeah, all right,
we
no,
can
I'm just,
relax it. But if it's different, we want to know what that outcome is.
it's a-
And at that point, if the wall is in compliance with something we agreed to, we don't have to rip it out and redisturb it, create the vulnerability potentially disturbing a wetland again, which is really what we're here for.
Right.
Everything else is bureaucracy. We're here to protect the wetland, so ripping it
Right.
out doesn't do that. But if it's in the wrong place, we
That's-
certainly have the rights to do that.
Right, that's just looking at the picture, it looks like it's pretty stable out there, it looks, so I kind of it's catch-22, I understand the desire to make them rip it out, but
Now, what is our limit on fining? Is it $200 per day? Because I want to go to the full extent that we're allowed.
I think it's 100, Joe.
Only 100. We had to
I
reduce
think, now, I could be wrong, but I think under the bylaw it's 100.
Yeah, we had to reduce it to 100, because we used to be 300,
That was,
and they said it was not,
Well,
we
the
couldn't do
non-criminal
that.
dispositions, it's actually, there's a minimum, and then after so many days, it can go up, and it's an
Yeah.
escalating sliding fee, but I don't remember what ours is. We never had to use it this
But we
way.
can go back as far as we want, too.
It's not worth the battle. The first time they became aware of it, we became aware of it, was only a
Is the wall
couple of
gonna be
days ago.
taller than what it looks like here? Looks like it's like 4 or 5 feet, does it all of a sudden increase in height, or,
It's flush with the ground, Tony.
all right?
You don't need to research it out. My recommendation in the enforcement order for fining is to the maximum extent allowed under our regulations.
Violation of any order of conditions is $100 a day.
So it's that.
I will say, Amy asked us Monday to come to this
Yeah.
meeting, so at least from my part, and I'm not responsible for what happened, but we're trying to be responsive. The order to be recorded, that's the old order or the existing
The
order.
existing order
Right?
that covered-
2019.
2019, November of 2019.
First, we can't even record the enforcement order against the property. We have to record it against the order of conditions. If it doesn't exist, we can't even record it ourselves.
So that order from 19 gets recorded at the registry, number
Yes.
one, to go through.
Yes.
Number two, a bond for,
5K,
5,000.
5,000.
okay, because I heard, okay.
No,
We
5,000,
looked it
that's
up
the
while you
bond,
were-
that's,
We looked it up, it is
Yeah.
5,000.
Okay. Forgive my ignorance, but I've never had to do this before.
It's okay.
Is that made out to the
town of North Andover, yep,
It's actually all spelled out in the order of conditions,
yep.
if they had bothered reading any of it.
Okay, and it gets delivered to the
think
clerk,
Toby-
the treasurer?
I think Amy can take the check and then she'll
Yeah, the treasurer's
walk
office
it
right
through, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, so we have bond paperwork that Jamie helps prepare. Once we get the recording, we need a W-9 from whoever's going to pay that bond for tax purposes.
This is all spelled out, Amy?
Yeah, and I can,
Yeah, please,
we can talk tomorrow. And I
to
can- I
Taylor
can-
and me.
Yeah, definitely. I can walk you through everything. So,
And then the third
court bond.
was the as-built. And what we can do on the as-built is that we do have a copy of the original drawing. We'll do an as-built survey, obviously. We'll superimpose the wall from the WNS drawing onto it, maybe in a different color, so that
Okay,
the commission can see the,
Any deviation.
yeah.
yep.
I think it's worth making them get a hold of the contractor. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not worth it. Maybe his word is not worth anything. Since he
What does
just,
that do to us?
What do we hope to learn from the contract?
That's an
I don't
arrangement
know.
between, I keep looking
Well,
at
I
you because
guess-
you're sitting in front of us. That's between the applicant,
yeah,
the management company, and the contractor.
that's true.
Whatever arrangement they have, whether they think it's a violation, whether they were in cahoots, it's between them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why
no,
get them,
that's-
All
nothing
right.
to do with us?
Yeah, that's, exactly, so a lot of times, the contractor owns the order of conditions, but ultimately it falls back on the property owner, and they can fight that out.
I don't
Right.
think we have anything to gain by asking a contractor to come in here and talk to us. We have nothing to gain by it.
The as-built will do all the talking.
That's-
Yeah,
That's,
I-
that's,
I agree.
yeah.
the as-built is gonna give you XY location, it's gonna give you
let us
height.
know, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we just hope that, you know, the drain tile, the 4-inch drain tile is installed
That's,
and all that for detail, you know, the detail specs.
So
It's
we can't-
blind, I don't know.
We can't issue an enforcement order until we know that
No.
it's been recorded, correct?
No, we are issuing enforcement orders
we just-
tonight.
We can issue, we just
With
can't
the-
record the enforcement order.
Okay.
We can issue it.
So we're gonna continue, we gotta talk about this by the next meeting, right?
We're gonna issue an enforcement order to an amended,
We have to
you're gonna
ratify
ratify an amendment.
as amended.
Amended.
So that, all that stuff should be done next meeting.
So moved.
I think we can do it right now.
I'm moving it,
Second.
as amended.
All those
Wait a
in
minute.
favor say aye.
What are you moving? Are you, where
As I
did
mapped-
the
as I mapped it
fines?
out, or are we
I
gonna
guess
debate
maybe
on
more
making
about
those?
where's the
No, you're good.
fines.
As
And
I
what's-
mapped it out,
Joe's,
Is there fines
$100 a day,
Starting today.
starting tomorrow, I said.
Oh, tomorrow, okay.
First notice is today, so it's the clock will kick tomorrow.
just as well, just let us start tomorrow.
So if PMA can deliver a check, and I'm kind of assuming that they will, if they can deliver a check for the 5,000 to you tomorrow,
Can you come over to our building tomorrow morning to get a certified copy of the order of conditions? If you can, all the instructions you need are right in the order of conditions.
I'll ask my tailor, I'm gonna be in a cranberry bog in Rochester, Mass tomorrow, so.
Cranberry, eh?
We have a project down there.
Oh,
But I
man.
think Taylor from my office should be able to come over,
Not on
and
Taylor.
I'll speak with her first thing to
Okay.
get with you. And I'm gonna,
Because what I'm
Do
saying,
we
why
wanna
I'm saying this is,
give
the
poor
order has
Paul
the
a
instructions.
day or two to,
48 hours
yeah,
would be
before we
fine,
start
'cause I'm-
doing the fines, just
I'm
because.
kind of a softie, give them 48 hours to pull everything together.
No objection.
That's,
Before we
I
start.
object.
fines.
I believe they did this deliberately. They know, anybody in the business that's a property manager who has an order of conditions, they know what it says. It's their job to know what it says. For them to embark on the process and do zero was deliberate.
I mean, I'm working on jobs in Boston where the property owners have hired the contractor, said you ordered the order, on the order of conditions, never recorded, started the work without a pre-con. I
I still
I
The,
think,
the bigger the company is, the more they push the responsibility off, is what I found.
We give 'em
I
one
think
day.
48 hours is kind of reasonable. Even
for
split the
a
distance.
couple
$20.
$100, it's not worth the fight. Yeah, so let's stay, fines will begin on Friday, 48 hours from today. Friday.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And they will cease upon, these are what I think will be the major thresholds. Posting of the bond, the order is recorded with the evidence submitted to us, and the receipt of the as-built plan. Once they've done all of those things, the fines we could toll the fines.
Okay.
Those are the three things that they didn't do. Had they followed the process, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Right.
We would have known, we did a pre-con, we would have known, they would have known where the wall's gonna go, they would have given us an as-built, all that would have happened. We have none of that. So when those three things occur, they've satisfied that first part of the enforcement order, and fines can stop. So if they
So
can
they
get a
start
surveyor
on
right
Friday.
on board, and they can get out there and do what they do and get a plan to us, that's just a function of scheduling. That's what I think to be reasonable for the fines to cease.
We got a motion and we have a second.
All right,
correct?
so fine, just, let me
Make sure.
just, okay. $100 a day starts Friday.
Friday.
And they cease if all the three things, order recorded, bond paid, and
As-built
as-built
received.
received.
Submitted and received.
Okay,
as-built by when?
Whenever, $100 a day until we get it. So the fines are ticking away until we receive that
I thought
as-built.
you wanted the as-built by Friday, I was gonna say.
No.
No, no,
no,
no,
it's-
no, no, no.
no,
that's-
I mean,
We just want your money by Friday.
The bond money.
Bond money.
That's what I meant.
I mean, as long as, if they wanna take a week.
no, that's not what you're saying. You're saying, we're gonna fine you starting Friday,
Yeah,
and then,
and then by
But-
Monday, they gotta have
But we also put timetables on
He has to pick up the
recording,
order.
and we
Yes.
put timetables on receipt of the bond, which we said was Monday of next week, and recording of the order was Friday.
okay, Friday
So
recording.
those first two things they've done on the same, theoretically, within a day or two of the fine starting. They're gonna continue to run until we get the as-built plan submitted. At that point, we'll toll the fines, they're payable in full, or we can discuss it at that point. And we have the as-built, and then then the discussion ensues of what's the rest of the enforcement need? Is it compliant, is it not
Yep.
compliant? You rip it out, you're not rip, that all remains to be seen.
Fine, stop at the submission of the as-built, not the following meeting when we lift them.
Right, that just, as long as we get that.
Fine
When is
stuff.
the next meeting?
2 weeks.
May
2
10th.
weeks.
2 weeks.
Fine, stop.
It's,
This is gonna push
I'm
Paul
just trying
right
to-
into retirement, let me tell you right now.
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Hey,
He's gonna get upstairs and have a
We're not
shot.
giving you a deadline. We're saying the fines are running until you can meet your schedule.
Are we talking about, we're talking about recording an amended order?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
So,
The original order?
Yep, which I
so
can give you, I
you
can
have to
give you a
pick up
true, a
with the-
true attest
You have
tomorrow
to pick
morning.
up the order of conditions, a
A true
copy of the order of
test.
conditions from Amy. You have to pick that up here, whenever you can.
A copy?
A true attested
It's gonna be
copy.
a true-
Okay,
it's gonna
it's
be a
not
true
the one
copy.
that you guys
It
signed.
will be a
because
copy of it.
I have
but it's
no
certified
idea
by
what
the
that
town
is.
clerk, and
It's
you're
a-
gonna
Yeah,
lose-
so that's
Garage
be an
is
attested
somewhere.
to copy of the order we signed.
and you
Okay.
take that to the registry.
You're gonna take that to the registry and record it.
As somebody said, I think we can all,
electronic, yep.
Then you're gonna bring a check
right,
and a copy, proof of the recording to
right.
Amy.
And a
You will
W-9.
have, and a W-9, I get that right, you'll have an attested copy?
I will have that ready tomorrow morning. Me and Jamie will have, yep,
Okay,
yep.
just as long as you give me my marching orders,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
So
That'll
you,
work. That'll
you'll,
work well.
you'll reissue the enforcement order tomorrow too, so he has it with his
Yes.
marching orders
Yes.
in it, so,
Because that can't get, that's got to be recorded only after
but that's,
the order gets
yeah, we'll be the
recorded.
ones who record that.
But
We
you're not-
record
you're
If
not
that.
we
coming,
have
you're-
to,
you're
if we
sending
feel
somebody
like
else,
we have
right?
to.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're going to the cranberry thing. Yeah. All right.
They could talk to Amy and Jamie tomorrow.
Yeah, just have whoever's coming,
Yeah,
be Taylor.
call the office.
okay.
All righty.
We'll make it easy for you.
I got a
it's all
headache and
right.
I'm not doing it.
Sorry, Paul.
It's okay, it's all right. Somebody screwed up, and I don't know, but the horse already left the barn. We're just trying to, right?
Yeah. And the barn burnt down.
Oh, my gosh.
At
Paul,
least,
this is not insurmountable for you. You can handle this.
yeah.
You can
yeah.
handle this.
Thank you for hearing me tonight.
No, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right.
Don't be afraid to come back.
Did we?
It's not your
did we
fault,
vote on your
Paul.
enforcement?
No, we didn't vote it.
So, we still have to vote on Joe's enforcement.
So I moved it, you seconded it.
Yes, I did.
All those in favor say aye.
And you amended it.
Still, it's as amended.
Yes.
And I say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
That's unanimous? With one opposition?
We had an opposition?
Did you say opposed? Oh, you called opposed.
No,
I
I
thought you were
said-
yelling you were opposed.
No,
He,
no.
you know, he called opposed, wanting to see if anybody in the room stood up to say they were opposed.
I would oppose it. I would have went down there with my
All
machine
right.
and dug it out.
See if we can motor through the rest of it.
Piled it up in their driveway.
I think we have another one on the,
Yeah, we
Yes,
have
we
another
do.
one.
we have another one queued up there, Mr. Chairman.
We got 196 Marble Ridge Road, requested continue till May 10th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. And one of our favorite places, 40 Flagship Drive.
Are you in on this one or not?
Yes.
Everyone
I'm
is.
in on it.
You're in on this one, okay.
Everyone's in.
All right, good. I want to make sure.
Okay,
My job as vice chair is to keep everybody out of trouble.
I
No,
know.
all my other ones, all the other ones are gone now. I don't have to accuse
No
myself.
more conflicts?
Yeah,
No more
right.
conflicts.
God have mercy.
Man.
So this draft is a result of my drafting and review by town council. So just to remind you, town council and I had a Zoom meeting with DEP's general counsel and their section chief, Joe Provincial, to make sure that we were right in our thinking that the violator is the responsible party that can be pursued for fixing this downstream problem. And they said yes, because they've had similar problems and
Good to verify
dealt-
that ahead of time.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
So, you know, it's the usual things I think we would require. You know, I give sort of a background. I note that, you know, we have a separate enforcement order recorded against 40 Flagship Drive, where all the stuff came from, that he cease and desist, and nothing can happen until an order of conditions is issued. And now we are focusing on the impacted wetland downstream. And I have, you know, I threw out some deadlines for some actions and deliverables.
Amy, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is it sufficient to ask, to say that downstairs, where the town is run, are there sufficient safeguards in place to prevent this guy from coming in and getting some type of a permit to do something on the site?
Yes.
Because I'm just
Oh, absolutely,
not trying to be a
yes,
wise guy.
You sign off on a
No,
permit.
we are,
No, I
it's
know,
an
but-
online
Building permit.
viewpoint system. Every department has sign-off ability. And I,
Ability, but actually sign off
oh,
requirement.
no, requirement.
Requirement,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm
For-
sorry,
for any
that's what I
activity.
meant.
For any
No,
activity.
building
Well,
permits, plumbing
building
permits, you're not
permits.
What
gonna
if
see
he
those on
doesn't
your
want?
No, yeah.
So what if this gentleman doesn't want a building permit, he just wants to go in and do something, he wants to move some dirt around, get some dirt, add some dirt, do whatever, do what a guy that does construct, could he pull that off?
On this site?
Well,
Yes.
possibly, I
I mean,
mean,
it's not within a resource area.
So he does not have,
well,
The site
it's,
itself isn't, right? Is that-
right,
The site itself is
but
non-jurisdictional,
we-
this is the problem.
I know, but we've grabbed jurisdiction.
Get it, I get
We are
it.
claiming
grabbed-
jurisdiction over it.
We took
but the
jurisdiction as a
enforcement,
result
did we
of,
record it against the
Yes,
property?
Yes,
So without an order of conditions, because there was no
Right.
NOI.
Yep.
We did, in that instance, we did
Yes.
file enforcement order
Yes.
against the property
against the
itself.
property itself.
You can only do so much to prevent the violation,
I'm-
right? So that doesn't necessarily mean, I don't think we could tell them necessarily what to do on the entire,
I think we can, that's
So
what,
we
that's what I'm
said
asking, I think we can. I
No
think we can.
work other than
There
if
shouldn't-
there's an erosion problem, you can do work to address any kind of erosion if it happens.
Yeah.
But no work.
See,
So this is to go out tomorrow? This is draft, or did it go out today?
No, it's draft for you guys to
Draft for us,
review
okay.
and,
I think I
And
follow
vote.
Al's thing,
I'm
you
just,
put it in
I'm
writing
just
here.
concerned that there's a way to fall through the cracks in every system.
Well-
And there may be an activity that the owner applicant wants to conduct that doesn't necessarily need the system permitting sign-off that we,
yeah, I understand that.
so how do we,
So how do we do that? It means that I probably have to go out there daily. Is that what you're
I'm asking.
saying?
No,
It's
I would-
okay,
I'm
you can say
asking-
it out loud.
No, no.
I get it.
With your letter,
I'm much more simplistic. Can we, the town, post the property?
There's no permits to be issued.
No activity, no nothing, whatever term you want to use, cease and desist.
can't be posted.
Cease and desist, can we post
On the
a cease and
site?
desist
Oh, at the site.
At the
At
site?
the
Is that what
site.
you're talking about?
at the site, right then and there?
Can we put it in this letter? That
That's
they
what I
must-
want to do.
They must post, and if not, we shall post.
They're not gonna do shit. We have to post it.
But I think you,
Yeah, and then
You
as soon as
say
we
it
post it, what are they gonna do? Take it down? Like, seriously?
So,
but that's,
but that's good, because that's criminal when you start
Yes.
playing that game. The minute you
But we're
start
putting
touching a
things on-
posting,
I know, but we're
you
putting
cross
something
the-
on
you
their
cross the
property.
line.
we're gonna put it in the right of way. We'll put it on telephone pole or some, yeah.
So on the second page of your letter.
all I'm saying is, let's do our diligence here, because on one, you know, some Saturday or Sunday when nobody's around, we'll find out that bulldozer was busy over there doing something, and it's gonna be too late.
All right, so let's write it in the letter, which is going to be the instrument we're going to use.
That's what I want.
Second page, right below the continuing paragraph, and before it says through a series. The first part is all the preamble of how we got here because of the impacts. Another paragraph goes on, because of these impacts, the NACC has, let's come up with the right word.
Issue to cease and desist.
Has
Has taken the following action.
Has taken control of the jurisdiction, whatever the, I'm not.
Oh, okay,
I'm not using the
all
right.
right.
We was,
So
and
Yes,
because of this,
asserted jurisdiction in accordance with,
With
and there's
blah,
that
blah,
three
blah, blah.
ten.
make the citation.
Chapter
So then we put
131,
them in,
section 40,
and
as amended.
as such, any future activity undertaken within your site is subject to the Wetland Protection Act and the North Andover Protection Bylaw, and no work shall be undertaken until you have an approved order of conditions through the issuance.
I know,
of
we
the-
already have one that says that, that's recorded against the deed.
Say it in here again, because this is what's putting my notes
It's
again.
okay to repeat it.
Okay,
and-
all right, I'll just okay.
But then, we're gonna go that one step further, I suggest, by putting actual postings at the access points to the property, so that we don't hear the words, gee, I didn't know I couldn't do this, or oops, my buddy did that, he didn't tell me. You have to anticipate, if it can happen, it will happen. And we're getting
I
into
know,
the
I
construction
get
season
it.
now where
Ian, the next paragraph, the same paragraph below that, what I just added in, why give them an opportunity to gloat? Penalties and fines were assessed and they were forgiven. Take the whole goddamn sentence out. It's terrible.
I'd take it out too.
I take it out. I mean, he knows what he did, and why let him gloat over it?
Okay. Okay, I won't bother.
It's insulting for us to keep, for me to keep it in.
Yeah, I get it. All right, delete. And then posting,
The town of North Andover will enforce the cease and desist order by posting signs on the property.
And I would go as far to CC building inspector and
Everybody,
town
Plan.
engineer,
everybody in the building should get a copy of this.
just to, yeah, or just say town departments,
Yeah, all departments.
And just email it out to, do the blast email or something
Okay.
like that.
Yep. Yep. We're not concerned about hurting anybody's feelings here anymore, you know?
all right, so we're gonna post.
Because, you know, this is twice, not once, but this is twice in the history of that parcel that this has happened. Which leads me to
I
believe
mean, all
that,
the other issues out there with bounced checks and bonds that never, I mean,
Is
has
there
that
any
been
equipment out there
resolved?
anymore?
I mean, that was so
No,
long ago, it's
the
still,
property is 2 years in arrears,
arrears for what?
paying taxes.
Property taxes? They'll go 15 years before they do anything about it. They will.
And also the bond that's with the
Planning board.
planning board is a surety bond, it's not cash.
Not cash, so it's probably not worth the paper it's written on.
what's the plan about, they're not about to do anything on it, they're not about to seize it, or they're just,
They have a special
not their
permit?
battle, not their battle.
Is it a special permit with the planning board?
Yeah.
It
Could
was,
we petition a show cause and have the special permit revoked, which would just stop them from being able to build anything?
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
That's in vain.
That's not a bad idea. That's
that does what you wanna do.
And I still want to post it, though.
Yeah, no, but,
You know,
this way,
'cause, Joe, just keep picturing, I want you to always picture that kid working the bulldozer over on the hill by Gilly Ray's,
Clay pit.
Clay Pit Hill.
Oops.
He missed the line by 80 feet driving a D9 bulldozer that was never gonna get fixed, it was never getting fixed again.
No, I was coming back from Havel on a Sunday, and there was a guy running a bulldozer at 1210 Osgood Street before it was even sold.
Jeez.
Level and land
That's
off.
called getting ready.
I said, what are you doing?
All right, so is there anything
There's no
else?
bulldozers
Come on,
miles.
we're getting off track.
Like,
Come on, keep on track.
We're on track, go ahead.
All right,
Just
so,
confirm with us what we're doing, and
so are the deadlines
deadline
were reasonable?
for, no, what are we asking them to do?
So
for
we're
the-
asking him to respond no later than May 12th to this letter, acknowledge it.
Yeah,
No later than May 24th, submit the wetland restoration plan.
Sure.
By a wetland consultant. I think it's in draft form now. It was going to be part of the NOI.
sure.
Attend the May 24th meeting. Receive additional feedback, additional direction from the NACC as to a timetable for execution of final approved restoration plan and associated monitoring, and then just reminding him that it's his responsibility to gain access to the downstream abutters and that we will send a courtesy letter to them to alert them of these requirements, or we could just CC them. I'll just CC, actually, I'll just CC,
Yeah, CC the
CC the abutters.
So are
I
we
mean, you
gonna-
gotta CC everybody.
Are we instituting fines again, or we're
So
not
I'll
bothering?
take that
Not yet.
sentence,
Okay.
Because we just gave them the
Classic, it's
deadlines.
a letter to them and just CC them.
Well, can't we tell them that we'll start
No,
on the last date of whatever's on there?
don't rattle your saber.
Right.
It's what, reissue fines?
Never let anybody know what you're
Thinking
thinking.
that way, it's not even worth it.
I did not gonna
That's
pay.
why, that's what made me take the,
Never let them know what you're thinking.
yeah.
They know what I'm
Bad enough they
thinking.
can hear us talking now.
Okay, so we need a
Okay.
motion.
So, I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
And I'll offer a second motion to authorize Amy to procure funds, to take funds from the filing fee account for the purpose of posting the property with physical signs, as discussed.
Okay, so modify it so that I could either take it out of my regular budget or the filing fees.
I modify it.
Because I might have a line.
Motion as amended for purposes of posting the property,
to
as
post.
discussed.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. And also, you want to talk to planning about revoking the site plan review. Plan.
I would go to council first.
Town
So,
council.
site plan review, you can't revoke. If they had to get a special permit can be revoked through a show cause hearing.
So I can't tell you with any confidence if they had a special permit or
I
not.
should know that, but
That's,
I'm not sure myself.
Yeah, so
But we
that's,
can find out.
yeah, I think we can find
We
out.
can find out real fast.
And then I'm not sure if it would be through planning board or through the board of selectmen that would do the show
Yeah, I
cause
don't
hearing
know.
for violation of
All
in a
we-
city, it would be city council.
So all we can do is ask that, if it is, we ask that it be prosecuted.
Right.
That's all. We
yeah.
can make that request.
So in a show cause, if they're in violation of the terms of their special permit, which is usually safety and environment,
Yep.
which I think we can prove,
Yeah,
then it can be revoked.
because they did have some kind of special permit.
I thought that it
They had
required, North Andover
SWIP?
Hold
zoning.
on.
well,
They had a SWIP for the property.
That's not special.
North Andover zoning, any commercial structure greater than so many
Site
feet
plan
is
review, special
approval.
permit.
yeah, so
Site
that's,
plan
It's
special,
up.
so site plan
up.
is the special
is the
permit.
special permit.
So there is one. So,
Site plan review, special permit.
so I agree with Anthony. Let's see if we can find a way to revoke that special permit.
Yes, so I think there's probably terms, if you want to send it over to me, I can look and find terms that I think that they have violated as far as the, because it's safety, environment.
Because we're gonna be sending it to the town planner and the planning board, asking for this action.
Yes.
It's just at our request.
Right.
And that's all we can do, is just request it.
I think to help Amy out, we should make that as a form of a motion, which you just moved, and I'm gonna second it. We should vote it so she knows.
Yeah.
She'll be able to go say it's unanimous, Conservation Commission is pursuing this.
Okay, Lou, call
Okay,
it.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, and that's unanimous.
It's unanimous.
Okay,
Okay,
all right. Last but not least,
fun one tonight.
You and Paul will both be at the top.
so
Or retired.
last but not least, small project review and adjustment application fee.
So currently it's $25, and I can tell you that staff time is at least 3 site visits for these small projects. A lot of hand-holding.
Yeah, because when we designed and implemented the small project, Sean and I were on the subcommittee, and the idea was to make it easier for the average homeowner to do a small project.
Easier and cheaper, but
Easier.
not free.
Correct. And at the time, which it was quite a while ago when we did it.
Yeah.
More than 10 years ago. So at the time, the fee, $25, seemed reasonable. But now, as Amy points out, 2 or 3 site visits and a lot of, filling in the blanks and showing them how to do the design, so bring it in front of us, it's killing a lot of staff time.
What is an RDA
No, this is
cost for a local
Is-
fee?
110. Well, it depends on the activity.
So it's 110 for us, 100 for the,
No, nothing for DEP.
Oh, DEP's nothing for,
But an IDA requires a plan. An IDA
That's
requires.
what I'm saying, the cheaper is, the hurdle is still much lower to clear.
Yeah.
And what we're gonna do is recapture the administrative burden, right?
We just can't
So
have.
3 visits an hour, $300 filing fee to avoid thousands of dollars in survey and wetland delineation, I still think is reasonable. Meets the intent of a.
Because
of a
that's the
small-
only expense in a small project
Yeah.
is the fee.
That's it.
They don't have to hire an engineer, they don't have to hire, they don't even have to hire a wetland scientist. They just can, they
So
can
the
take a
fees
mortgage
in-
plot plan.
The fees in the
color it in.
regulation, or
yeah, no,
the,
that makes sense. I was just trying to look at,
So we're having a hearing, this is a hearing.
did we read it as such as a hearing, or are we doing it at a public meeting?
We posted it.
No, we posted it.
We
It's-
posted it.
it's-
We posted it and
it's,
gave notice that it was being discussed.
That's on
It's
the
a
agenda.
legal ad.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a
we can see
posted
this.
discussion.
there's lots of people here in opposition.
So, anyway, so Joe, I guess we're looking for, what would the commission be satisfied with?
$300.
$300.
It's still far, far cheaper than an
Well-
RDA, let alone a NOI.
For a single-family house project, under category 1, it's 110 per activity.
For an RDA.
Yeah,
But then
So do
you
we-
have to look at the IDA, you have to hire a land surveyor.
not always.
The
Not
re-
always.
Yeah, no.
Doesn't
you
the IDA
don't.
require a plan?
No,
No.
because you can, it doesn't require it. You have the ability to
require
you have the ability to
We can
require,
ask-
you can accept something less.
I mean, we always,
Which you have been, because some, like what, the guy with the driveway, you're gonna have him do a plot plan for the driveway?
Right, so that's not a small project, but it's an RDA, because
Because the scope of work is just, it's closer to the wetland, there's less
Yeah.
excavation,
It's an in-kind
it's,
replacement, too.
So I
Yeah.
mean, I literally took 3 hours of your time
Yeah.
at $100 an hour. Now, you don't make $100 an hour, but.
No, but I mean,
but we bill it that
let's-
way.
Let's get a fee that's justifiable,
But-
that covers us for the next couple of years.
but I think what you're gonna see is, you're gonna have a lot of people just filing RDAs at that point.
Exactly. It's three
Which
times
is-
cheaper.
I
Sorta
still
just
think they
as much
wouldn't.
work
I still think you
sometimes.
wouldn't.
Right, so that's kinda, I think,
So is it $100?
I think it might be worthwhile, a wholesale kind of review of fees at some point in time.
Well, let's start with this one.
Yeah, no, and I think maybe we raise it up, but I think if you go beyond the RDA fee.
yeah, I think that's not,
You-
doesn't
you're
make
just
any
gonna-
sense.
Right,
That's why I said 100.
yeah, I think,
And then it was something
I mean,
else.
100's better than what it is now, but it's not enough.
No,
But it's,
but, what the intent was to streamline it for the homeowner and, and us, and not having
a small project
12,000.
is a gift, okay?
It is.
It's a gift.
Oh, I know.
And, for $100, you're getting everything you need.
Yeah.
So, pre-construction meeting.
So rather than rushing into this tonight, which is great to get it on the table, can the effort be to revisit the entire fee structure and bring it in as a package, and then vote the new fee for the small project at the same time,
You'd have
so
to-
that they all
I'd
fall
have
in
to
line?
repost. I'd have to re-advertise, which is fine. Yeah,
Because if in fact the IDA should be higher, well, maybe this small project becomes 200 if we get the IDA where it belongs.
yeah.
Let's
if
do it all
maybe
in one
the RDA is
shot.
3, and then,
Right.
yeah,
Otherwise, we'd have to keep changing multiple
Well,
times, doesn't make
yeah.
sense to
right.
true.
piecemeal it.
And I don't disagree with this at all.
Yeah,
Absolutely, I just don't want to go through it twice. I'd rather do it right once.
No objection.
Okay.
Yep.
While we're at it too, I've been talking with Amy about it at length about small projects. And there's a lot of small projects that they're so small that it shouldn't have to come before us because it's even more work. So I thought, or I think that some projects that are very small, like if, somebody needs a walk that's 10 feet or 12 feet or whatever, or a deck that's going in-kind replacement that's 100 square feet, silly things, that she should be able to take the
Administrative
fee,
approval,
but do it administratively, so that,
The record. Administrative approval, are you confident you can get the record to reflect that? Or would you rather have a document like a small project approval as the record?
Well, I think she could issue one.
I could issue one.
Because at the
I
end of
mean, I
every day,
did that in Beverly.
Yeah,
You know,
again, I don't object, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, there has to be that piece of
I
paper
totally get it.
that says so
Oh,
somewhere.
absolutely.
Or
Yeah.
the new homeowner comes in and has no evidence that this was allowed,
Well,
and
maybe-
I mean,
So
unless,
administrative approvals just come at the end of the meeting, and we get a stack of them, you go, yep, I issued these administrative approvals, we go, yep, looks good, and then those all go, so they've been in front of us, someone can pull the agenda at some point in time too and say, yeah, don't you remember, here's the administrative approvals that were listed, the minutes would reflect it.
it's a slippery slope, Anthony.
I know,
It's,
and I understand why.
It's a slippery slope. We've had
I get it.
administrators in the past that were giving administrative approvals on notice of intents.
it's a-
And then we didn't find out until years later, when the house was being sold for the third time, and somebody finally picked up on it.
I mean, I know that's why you're doing it, and
But-
I totally get it. You've been burned by past.
We've
But
had
we,
some issues.
we've never had Amy before, so that's
Well-
kind of.
Again, I agree. I
Oh,
don't,
but
I
we had
don't,
Jen too.
We did
I
Jen,
don't
I
disagree.
know.
I don't disagree at all. I'm just saying it's,
I almost called you Jen today.
It's a,
it can,
it's a slip, yes, that's why I'm saying, at least if they come back in front of us,
I mean,
because we give Amy administrative approval, no problem. Hopefully Amy stays with us for the next 50 years. She decides to retire and move to wherever, and we got a new administrator
No, I
come in,
know.
we have to revoke that permit.
what if they don't go into effect until they're voted at the meeting? So if she says, okay, they're administratively approved, they come to us at the meeting,
Yeah.
pending.
yep,
Pending
we,
conservation.
We're not gaining
Like-
anything.
It's like in a selectmen's meeting, where they have a
Well, you
consent
still-
agenda. There's the things that are simply, the town manager has the authority to do it, and the selectmen consenting to allow that to happen. But they do vote it at every meeting.
right, so there's
It's-
a record, there's a record that it's come before us. If there is an objection, you could stop the voting of the consent agenda.
I mean, there's a ton of small projects that Amy and I talk about, and a lot of times, we go, can we do it administratively? Yeah, we figure out some way of doing it. We just do it. I did it with Jen forever. I mean,
Yeah.
Jen would come to me, look, can we just do this 1 minute? Look at it. And I go, you know, and I know I'm overstepping my bounds, but I kind of know you guys, and I know how you go, and I don't do anything that's any question, or she does, or
Well,
even Jen. If anything is remotely questionable,
Oh, yeah.
it goes.
Bring it in.
Bring
I
it in.
mean, there's a lot of instances where it's replacing the decking boards of a deck. They're not touching the footings, they're not putting a shovel in the ground.
Yeah, we don't,
I'm not
And
even
it's
sure
like-
that's,
we don't even want to see that.
I'm not even
I
sure
know.
that's a small project.
On the other hand, we don't want to discourage people from coming in front of us.
Sure.
With that sort of thing, or at least notifying us.
And
Well,
so,
right,
Yeah.
right. And, you know,
Yeah, so-
I obviously would verify dimensions and
You know, that's.
do pre and post, or,
So would there be
Or-
specific categories of activities that you'd be
well,
like, are
see,
we
that's
looking
the
at?
thing.
Or
you
like
know,
minor activities under the Wetlands
well,
Protection Act?
And
Like,
you can prescribe that. That can be another level of permitting that's really, really, I
You-
mean,
you-
small
some-
projects pretty prescribed as it is, but, I mean,
You-
I think having some paper trail,
the application, and you
well,
sign
not the
off
small
on it.
project, but a different one, administrative approval application. And it should be like $25. We still should
Yeah,
get
those
paid
make
for
sense,
them, you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, and
So it's like a subset of even smaller,
Small.
small.
I think
I
every,
think
You
what
know.
we need to see is
Tiny
a
projects.
proposal.
Yeah,
I
think
think
we need a proposal.
I get
everything,
it.
everything should be
And I think-
$100.
and then we can change our rules and regulations.
Well, we can adopt the
Minimum.
proposal and
Yeah.
incorporate
Yeah.
it by
So
reference.
Just like a couple years back, we said that anything more than 3 visits, we were gonna charge $7,500. We never, nope, we never did it.
All right,
So I think we need
I
to,
mean, you
so
take-
these are whole-sale fees. that
So this is 2 assignments then. One is gonna be the fee structure, and the other one's gonna be projects that can be administratively approved. So we need 2 of them brought in front of us.
But that's a single advertisement, because it's the same public hearing, because those are both things that are gonna end up in the regulations.
Right.
Well, we should,
Agreed.
and I agree, like you said, we should revamp all our, when was the last time we did it? I can't even remember the last time we
The
did it.
last time we revamped
It's
the
when
fee
Jen
structure.
first came through the door.
No, actually, I think it was Mike.
No, we
Mike
did-
was still the administrator.
No,
when
we
it.
did, we did an increase in
When
fees.
Mike was leaving and when Jen was
Mike
coming in.
was leaving, yeah.
Oh,
Mike
no,
was
Mike
still,
was-
Yeah, it was Mike's last official act out the door.
I thought Julie was before, no, wait,
Take a look
wait,
at the
it was
Raleigh
Allison
local
before
fees.
Jen. She was-
Take a look
how
what?
could we
The
forget that?
Raleigh local fees when you get a chance.
Yeah, I'm
When I
not,
first got on the board, Allison was the administrator.
I don't wanna, hey, listen,
Way after my time.
I don't want us to be like those towns over there, okay? Those towns over there, they charge you for breathing.
Oh, yeah, no, that was, I just did that, it was,
I just,
in a, outside of the buffer zone, in a zone 2,
So just hold on one second. So
a
for,
nickel a square foot, cost me $6,000 to repave a.
so Amy, for purposes of that item that we were just discussing, the small project public
Yes,
hearing,
okay.
for purposes of the public hearing, it sounds like the disposition of the commission is to have you submit a proposal for a new fee structure from top to bottom, and a proposal for refining the small project requirements to allow for administrative approval of certain projects. So that's,
And for the certain projects, I would piggyback on the minor project. Just as a suggestion, the minor projects in
Right.
the Wetlands Protection Act, because those are already exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act, and if, in that, it would sort of line up to where
Yeah.
they would need approval for
I-
either one.
like, oh, your papers. Anything that, like we talked about stuff, so anything that's gonna affect the wetlands at all, we don't
Yeah,
even,
you-
we don't
So
even,
like one of the minor activities.
it just automatically goes to, you guys.
So like one of them is if you're putting a deck on existing lawn and it's greater than 50 feet away, that's exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act, right? So that would be something, obviously if there's a vernal pool, and it's a 75-foot setback, it's different for us, but,
but that requires a delineation.
well, I mean, it depends, like,
If there's no delineation, how do you know what's 50 feet?
Can I just say that the deck that was put on at 368 Raleigh Tavern, it was a large deck, but that backyard got freaking chewed up. I mean, bad. So I don't know if I would feel comfortable, I mean,
well, it's baked in, so the minor activity only applies, if you read it, it only applies if you're applying proper erosion and sediment controls. So that could be
Yeah.
part of the,
yeah,
But you still gotta know where the line is. You have to know, or you
Oh,
have to have
no,
a,
I
you
know.
have to have a resource area delineation. If there's no delineation,
but I mean, like Taylor would go out and say, he would take the tape off, right? And
Yeah.
say
it's,
so,
yeah,
if it's so these would be like no-brainer situations.
no brainers,
Right.
yes.
You're
I
90
mean,
feet away.
Yes,
And you're,
Oh, you taking?
right.
If it's even a question,
that scares me, I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
Right,
I'm
then-
just telling you.
I know it does.
A resource area delineation is the key to everything we do.
and you're,
You can't waive it.
but we don't require it on a small project.
Well, actually, we do. Amy goes out to the site, and if it's anywhere even close, she tells the homeowner, no, this could be jurisdictional, this could not be
Yeah, no,
jurisdictional.
Then it's not a small
that would go
project
under the
anymore.
discretion.
But that's,
Yeah.
I know, but you see what I'm saying?
That's why it's not a $25 fee.
She's gotta go out at some point, because everybody, yeah, there's no wetlands anywhere near me.
No,
Well, what if
That's-
what if we have projects that, zero ground disturbance?
The what?
Zero ground.
like she
disturbance.
said, taking the deck
I
boards
mean, like
off.
deck boards
Deck
off.
boards,
Can I
okay.
do deck boards? I mean,
Yes.
I don't even think that's a small project.
Yeah, I think it's exempt under
I
the
think
I think
act.
it's a building.
I think that's what
I
we're
th- I
getting
think
at,
it's a
is like
repair.
What actually needs
Yeah.
approval.
Or,
I think everybody agrees that a repair in kind is probably not even a small project, if it's a repair in kind.
You're doing a deck in kind, or.
There's a
keeping
difference
it under the-
between maintenance and construction.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
such thing as
yeah.
maintenance.
Replacement in kind means two different things,
I know, it can
five
be-
different things at this table
well, that's
perhaps.
true, right.
See,
And it
so-
The applicant thinks something
So you
completely.
gotta be careful
I know.
where you go with this.
I know, I agree.
Which way you go with this, because you say replacing a piece of wood, okay, and then somebody else says, well, wait a second, that's gonna require a new footing.
Right.
Well, it can grow.
Oh, I
And just like that, and,
totally
well,
get it.
you signed off on it, you said I could do it.
Well,
No, I know,
have full
I know.
confidence in Amy as far as doing stuff, and I agree with you. If Amy leaves or we fire her,
Don't threaten her with a good time.
we can get somebody, we get somebody, and we'll readdress it again.
It's just like the story of why do we need a record drawing? Because at some point, you're gonna sell your house and move.
Yep.
Yep,
And if we don't have a record drawing that's recorded, an as-built, and you move, the new owner is on the hook. We don't know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, record keeping is really as important as delineating a resource area.
Still
And,
having an application.
And I rest my case. Thank you for the discussion.
Still having an an application and she signs off on it.
So Amy, if you want to just bring us some proposals,
Yeah, okay,
you know,
Do we close this public hearing?
I think so.
Okay. We don't
Take no
continue,
action,
close it.
no action.
well, the action is Amy's going to come to us with a proposal.
Okay.
And-
That's the
and-
action.
Yeah,
and a new- and a
but not
new-
for this hearing.
And a new
We're just
fee,
gonna
and a
close
new
it.
fee structure, top
That-
to bottom.
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my motion is to close the public hearing.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. We're all set there.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.